Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm Dr. Mohibullah Wazir, and the topic is the lobes and zones of prostate. Look, this is the prostate. It is having 5 lobes. Look, this is the anterior lobe, and these are the lateral lobes. And then look, this one is the posterior lobe, which connects the two lateral lobes with one another. And then note the point that anterior to the posterior lobe and posterior to the urethra, over here anterior to this posterior and posterior to the urethra, that is between the urethra and posterior lobe, over here is a median or middle lobe. In this way, having 5 lobes, while clinicians simple consider as lateral, 2 lateral and 1 median lobe. Now the anterior lobe, look, which lies over here anterior to the urethra, it is simple a fibromuscular strip. It doesn't have any gland. That's why the anterior lobe, it is simple like an SMS that connects the 2 lateral lobes anterior to the urethra and having no glands. That's why doesn't the adenoma and benign prostatic hyperplasia doesn't occur and this lobe. And then coming to the posterior lobe, look, this one which connects the 2 lateral lobes with one another, and this posterior lobe over here which connects the 2 lateral lobe with one another, you can see it also over here. Look, this is one lateral lobe, another, and this one in the middle part that connects the 2, this is posterior lobe. And this posterior lobe is known. It is known for the fact that the carcinoma usually begin over here. That is, the cancer of the prostate usually begin in this posterior lobe. Then you can see these 2 lateral lobes. Look, one lateral lobe and another lateral lobe connected anteriorly by the anterior lobe and posteriorly by the posterior lobe, and these lobes are also having glands in it. And over here these 2 lateral lobes are lying laterally, and adenoma or prostatic hyperplasia may also occur over here. Then the median lobe, look, which lies over here anterior to the posterior and posterior to the urethra, over here the median lobe or middle lobe, and it opens over here and it produces over here a small elevation, and this small elevation which is produced by this median lobe, which is called as uvula vesicae, and you can see it also over here. Look, this is the uvula of the bladder. This is being produced by the underlying this elevation by the underlying median lobe, and this median lobe is usually the site of benign prostatic hyperplasia. That is, it increases in size and invaginate into the urethra, and over here causes the obstruction. The obstruction mainly caused by this median lobe in the prostatic hyperplasia or BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. It is the median lobe which is mostly involved. Okay, now it is said that prostate is having 3 zones. Look, instead of lobes we consider the 3 zones. Look, this is prostate, this is the yellow zone, this is the peripheral, and then this you can see this is the central zone, and this small over here, this is the transitional zone. In the same way, this is the peripheral, and this blue, this is the central, and this one, this is the transitional zone. The peripheral zone, it is having 70% of the glandular tissue of the prostate is being formed in the peripheral zone, and it covers the prostate from posterior and behind from posterior side, and this posterior part is being usually, again it is known that the carcinoma of prostate usually begins in this peripheral zone, and it ducts open over here into prostatic urethra in the prostatic sinus, while the central zone, which you can see this blue one, it is wedge shaped and it forms the base of the prostate, and it is responsible for 20% of the glandular tissue, 70% by this peripheral zone, and this central zone, it is again, and its duct opens, it surrounds the ejaculatory duct. You can see it over here. Look, this is one ejaculatory duct, another. This central zone, it surrounds the ejaculatory duct, and its ducts opens over here into the urethra near the opening of the ejaculatory duct. And this central zone is rarely involved by any disease, and if involved, then it is the benign prostatic hyperplasia. Otherwise, this central zone is rarely involved by the disease. The peripheral zone usually involved by carcinoma. While this small transitional zone, which you can see over here, it surrounds this urethra. You can see it surrounds the distal part of the urethra is being surrounded by this transitional zone. It is responsible for 5% of the glandular tissue, and this transitional zone is again usually involved by the benign prostatic hyperplasia. That is, it increases in size, hyperplasia occurs in it, and it surrounds the urethra and gets in compression of urethra, leading into the obstruction. This is about the lobes and zones of the prostate. Thank you very much.